Hello everybody, hope you guys find your way back here. That was a little boo-boo on my part. As things are trying to get set up here, things are in different places. So that was user error on that end. But let's hope everybody goes ahead and makes it back here so that we've got a great subject today. So hopefully, I'm going to send a couple of messages, see if we can't get this show back on the road. Early. Just as we master one thing, we lose something else. Word. There we go. Well, let's see if Miss Cindy can save us. We'll see if Miss Cindy can save us today. So the big plan for today, I thought what we might do is I'll take Tom's rub out or lay-in that he's put down and then put that into Procreate and work on top of that. And that would save me all the time of doing any drawing or anything of that. And we can talk purely about color today. So let's see if we can get that to happen. So let's start. Call up our friend, the iPad here. All right, we've got somebody is slowly starting to find me again. Again, complete user error on my part. So thank you. And so this is Tom's rub out, one of his studies. And what I'm going to do is I've put it in here and I'm going to take the opacity down. Why am I doing this? Because if we look at the color here, there we go. All right. So if we look at the color here, you see how warm it is? It's very, very warm. And we don't want that affecting our color. So since we're digital, I'm going to go over here. And just so that we can see the outline, so I don't have to think about drawing. I can talk just about color today with you guys. All right, let's go back up to this layer. Okay, so a few of us has found it. So good morning, Shakti. Good morning, Susan. Thanks for joining. I hope we'll get some other ones here soon. We had a good crowd, and I ended the party early. So let's talk about our dark. So when we do our dark number 4 value, I've been trying to suggest we get a little bit of warmth in there. So what if we didn't go quite black, but we added a bit of cad red to that black? Not a lot, just a little, and still kept it very dark. We might end up with something like this. You see how there's a little bit of life in that? A little bit of life. All right, good morning, Tom. Good morning. So what we've done here is I've put yours in the program and lowered the opacity. And now we're going to talk about the colors we're going to use. In particular, I want to get to advancing and receding colors today. So if we have that warm shadow, and then what is our skin tone going to be? Well, we're going to mix our yellow ochre with our cad red light, and we want it relatively light. Now I don't want it white. I want it to have nice light, but it's got to have a certain amount of white in the color. That looks a little yellowish. There we go. That looks like a better base skin tone somewhere right there. So what if we called that our number 2 value? And then, of course, we have our white or our highlight. But what if that wasn't pure white either? What if that had a bit of that warm in it? See what's happening here? I'm doing this kind of all monochromatic. So our white leans to that yellow orange side. Our skin tone is definitely yellow orange range. Our shadow's a little bit warmer, a little probably closer to the orange red range, neutral of course. And that leaves us with our background. So with our background, if I wanted this darker and more mysterious, I'm going to take this gray down to something maybe here. So this is a certain sort of color scheme. What do I mean by that? Well, if we had yellow up here, right? Yellow, red, blue. Then what happens is how much blue is in this? Well, really none. And for our blue, we replace that with black. So instead of going over to the other side of the wheel, it just goes to neutral. Okay? So we're really keeping our whole painting right here. And, you know, this would go over to blue because that would be in the center of the wheel. And so look at what we're excluding. Sometimes it's easier to think about color in terms of what you're leaving out. Right? And so this is the green over to the blue-green, over to the blue, over to the purple. Right? So we're leaving out all of this part of the wheel. Right? And then on top of that, what we're going to do is we're not going to use everything in this slice of pie. Well, we don't have a bright yellow, so that takes that out. Right? And then we decide our skin tone is going to be a lightish yellow, right? So we don't have any bright orange. So in other words, what we're doing is we're limiting very much the colors we're using. And by doing that, it makes your painting more understandable to the viewer, right? Easier to read. It's clarifying. All right, Claudia made it back too. Okay, good. Yeah, I won't insult myself, but that was all on me this morning. I was too excited about the content we had. All right, the limited palette. Yeah, once you learn to work with the limited palette, it's magical. It's magical and it's so much easier. Right? If you're going down to the convenience store to, just pick up a little something, some milk or something for the coffee, and it's just a block and a half away, right? You don't need a sports car that can do 180, right? You just need some little putt-putt to get over there. Anyway, on with the analogies. So let's clean this up. Now, in the scenario that we have here at the bottom, I hope that's getting blown up for everybody on your screen. There we go. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. We have a grand prize winner. It's always the case. It's always the case. But, okay, now stop. Maybe you're thinking about this wrong. Right? It's always the case that this wins. That's just the way it works. Just like it's always the case that you're rooting for the protagonist in the novel, right? It's a certain role that's played, and there's certain characteristics that go with that role, and there's certain actions that that role performs. There may be other actions that are performed, but that are needed to be performed by a different character. Okay? So I want you to think very much like white, like this value, this white with a little orange in it, is a certain character. Then running up is number 2. Right? Number 1 has power. Number 2 has personality. What am I calling number 2? Number 2 is my second value of my 4, and it's the most colorful. Now, number 4 here, it'd be a mistake to think of him as a loser. Because, yeah, he's not up on the podium. He's not on the spotlight. He's not wearing the fancy clothes, he or she. But they're holding the whole thing together. Number 4 is our structure. Okay, so where does that leave this guy? What role in our story, in our novel, in our painting is that guy going to play? What lines is he going to speak? What purpose is he going to serve? He, she, it, them. What's number 3 going to do for us? It's really important to understand this. So let me ask you something. If you got a lot of power, right? You got a lot of power. Tour de France, you're in the Alps, boom. And I mean, you just jam up that. A lot of power. What could take you out? Well, you got to breathe. You got to breathe. Right? What's the most strongest personality you know? Well, one that comes to my mind is Robin Williams. Right? A tremendous personality, a tremendous energy. But still, when you go, oh, we need a breath. Needs to breathe. Right? What about somebody that can take all the pain and suffering and grief and still hold everything together without breaking? Well, even that person needs to breathe, breath, let go, relax. Right? So number 3 is the breath, is the exhale, is the relaxation. And what we're going to talk about right now is that number 3 value, and we're going to rename it. Okay? Everybody get this? Big change. Change is coming. Change is coming. Change is coming to the 4 values. Be prepared. We've got big changes coming to our 4 values. So it went down to the courthouse and it legally changed its name to Receding. Receding color. Now this guy's all over the place. He's had the name of Air, right? Then he went and changed his name to Vague. Sometimes he calls himself Gray. And now he's calling himself Receding? What's the story with this guy? What's the story with this guy? He's got to be there for that release. Got to be there for that release. All right, that's a nice story to warm up. I hope everybody got a chance to find us again. Get in the right location. So how does that release work? Well, the first thing we need, and I'm going to do one more thing here. What's my, oh my goodness. Time. I do want a dark. And I want a dark that's slightly warm, but they can act almost as a dark accent or a black. Let's put that down with our color layer. That's a little too colorful. There we go. Okay, see how that's just a bit darker? Okay, so if we have a dark black mask in shadow, it'll be like that. Let's put it up on the nose, under the nose, wrap around. Let's get our hat going here. And again, I'm not going to worry. This isn't about a drawing today. This is about color. Okay, so some of my drawing may get a little bit off and stuff. But for the sake of time. Okay, and then that dark accent can also be used in the eyes for the eyebrows and shadow. Maybe down here in the depth of the neck. Maybe right behind the neck on the for the shirt here. Okay. Oh, did I put all that on the color level? I put all that on the color level. All right, we're going to go back. We're going to do this right. So we're gonna add a brand new level. We're gonna come back here. We're gonna get this, and we're gonna just repeat what we did. So we want to come down the nose for the mask, a little bit under the nose. We want to fit around over the mouth. That chin is gonna act as a corner, a structure. So if we just do this all the way around, that's not gonna show us anything. Right? So we can start thinking about the idea of round, square, round, square, round. Okay? So that's what's happening right there, is a little structure. Right? Even when it's covered with something, we could still give it a little corner. Under the nose, get that round, cast shadow. There we go. Let's come to this shadow. Then the edge of the nose would turn into shadow, and that would more or less line up with that, the hard edge down the nose. Oops, what happened? I'm not done. I didn't do my thing. Right, we forgot the eyes, the eyebrows, and shadow. And we don't want straight lines here, but again, just for time. See how this is going to work. What is the function? Well, the function of both of these are structure. Okay, so let's get the eye socket, come out on the cheek, and then that forehead is doing what? And I know there's hair here, but again, for the sake of time, we've got to show a corner change here. Let's see. Go up like that. That way the light is caught both times. And now look, you've got that dark, and if you're careful, unlike I was, that dark next to the shadow is a soft release. Can you guys see that? It's, if I do it here on white, that's harsh. That's harsh. But if I put at least some of it next to another dark, look how much that just softens that. So much of it depends on what we're next to. And again, that goes right in hand with what are we doing? What's our number? What are we up to? Well, we're up to, right now, our number 4 value. Cast shadow on the neck from the jaw. Gonna wrap around. We're gonna have a form shadow here, and it's gonna end abruptly with the shirt. This, let's see, I think that might need to go back over here. Just so we can have the angle on the chin that we need. Or the neck, I mean. So that neck doesn't go straight down, does it? But there's the chin, and then it goes down a little bit more like that. Don't forget to leave a curve in these. Right? Can you see the difference between, okay, there's the jaw and there's the neck versus there's the bottom of the jaw. There's a transition and the neck is going. Can you guys see the difference in the nature of those two things? Okay, these little curves and the little bitty transitions make all the difference. All the difference in the world. Okay, so why don't we stop there? Let's see, under the ear, up in the ear, this is more transparency than shadow. And then that's shadow. And then let's just say that that hat is going to wrap around there. All right, so if we said all those things, first thing I want to do is my dark here is black with a little bit of warm in it. Now, to make that light or look like it's lit, I'm going to take that warmth out of it. So I'm going to do now black. No black and red, just pure black. And add just a touch of white. So that's still going to keep me very dark, but it'll look light compared to the shadow. Can you guys see that? Okay. So then let's go on to number 2 value. And now what's going to happen, I want you to notice the look. If I just flatly paint number 2 from the side of the nose to the front of the face, right? Turning up, facing the light, way to the head, the forehead, right? The side of the head. Here's the ear. This is all side of the head. How does that look if I do all of that? Just flat in that one color. And then on top of that, right, then we've got the neck coming down. We're gonna make that a little longer because he's a tall kid. He's a tall kid, right? The ear. So tell me about that color spot now. Tell me about that color spot. How does it feel? Well, it feels a little harsh. It feels a little harsh. Okay. So then, let's just leave that harshness for a second and come get our background here. Remember I said if you want dark and moody, we could do this? Well, I didn't quite get to finish what I was saying. What if we're like, man, this is a little kid, Jason. It's not dark and moody like your gothic soul. So, you know, how can we spice this up a little bit? All right, all right. Oof, didn't know you felt that way. Didn't know you felt that way. Well, as long as we stay between our light and our shadow, I can come over here. I can raise the value of this, and I can even raise the chroma of that a little bit. Now, is it still darker than our skin tone? Obviously. Is it still lighter than our black and our shadow? Looks like it to me. So that's a candidate. Now, the last question, is it weaker, right? If this is all you're seeing, what are you going to prefer? Well, you're going to go to the brighter part, right? Now, can I keep this the same value and make it stronger? So it's a little bit darker. See if I can get closer. So we'll have to lighten that up just a little bit. So is that the same value? So that's about the same value, but the chroma is too strong. The chroma. So in this scenario, this wins when played against that. But over here, this wins when played against that. So that tells us that this color would be a horrible background color because it wouldn't act and behave as background. It's going to be jumping forward, jumping to the spotlight, trying to give the speeches. Yeah, the speeches are important, but somebody's got to put up the iron that holds up the buildings, right? And somebody else has got to breathe, and we've got to breathe. And if you're coming forward to the spotlight, that's not a form of relaxation. But if you're stepping back, in other words, we want to step back from that color because we want that color to win. Okay? Similarly, here, that shadow needs to be stronger than the background. Right? Because the things that hold our buildings up are stronger than the air we exhale, right? I hope so. I hope so. At least on a physical realm, we're in big trouble if not. Well, we want those same feelings in our paintings. Right? We want those same feelings in our paintings. So I can liven this up, not by going cad orange, but just with a little lighter and more colorful than before background. But more colorful background is still weaker than our foreground. In other words, if our background color is right next to our skin tone, what are you going to want to look at? Okay, so then the next question becomes, okay, well, how do I mix this color on my palette and find it appropriately? Well, you simply take white and black and mix a gray to the value you want. And then you slowly add in, well, what's orange in this lesson? We have to make orange. We have yellow ochre and we have cad red light. So with those two, if you mix those together, that's going to give you an orange. So you've got the gray at the right value, and then you got the orange you mixed up. And if you just slowly will add that orange into that gray, you'll see where you need to go. Do not add gray into the orange. It's not that you can't, but usually when people learn, they're not adding nearly enough gray. So it's going to be much better served to start with gray and slowly add in the orange. Okay? Now, he's got ball caps and everything else going on here. So what I could do with those, so it's not black, but what if I came and had another gray, had another number 3? So what is this number 3? This number 3 here, it says it's about a 61% value. Okay, so what if we just took the color out? Now this is going to be a lot lighter. Do you see that? Because of the grayness. So what I'm going to have to do is drop this value. Okay, so now you can see that's a little bit darker, but it's still weaker than our light and weaker than our shadow. And this is where that more or less comes in. So now we can have this hat, but not have it be a big deal. Okay. Well, that's a little bit weak. What if we needed more oomph from that gray hat? Well, what if we went back to that gray and let's darken that value a little bit? Now it's still weaker than my light and my shadow. Okay, it's not winning any battles, but it will stand up against that background now. Okay. All right, so what about this advancing and receding color? So if we're looking at the side of John here, right? How can we say, because what we need to say is, look, this plane goes like this, and then we're going to turn to across the front of the face, and then we're going to go up on the nose, right? So basically we need to show them these corners here, that this is facing this way, and then that is facing that way, and then we're changing directions again. So how can we do that without weakening that overall piece? What if we just took a little bit of this background, right, and float it over the top of the front of, why the front of the face? Well, I want to do it on the front of the face because that is the plane that's turned away from me. This is going back into space. Right, so the front's going back, but then the side we're looking at again, aren't we? So that side plane it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. We call this advancing because your eyes wants to see it. It comes forward. And we call this receding because it's weaker. So we advance, we recede, then we advance. Can you guys see that? And it looks like it goes back towards the background because it's participating in that background color. Now I can use that same thing to soften an edge. That receding color, that nose isn't a square. It turns over. So if I use, where we want to be, we need to be right there. If I use a bit of this receding color right here along the edge, what that's going to do is it's going to soften that edge up. And then on the other hand, if I use this advancing color, and create a descriptive, really hard edge here, you see it just starts looking natural, right? And also what we want to do is, right, soften this edge. Right, we can just soften it with touch. And then on this bottom edge, with the mask, if we make that hard, it's going to make that skin tone appear brighter. Right, because the firmness of that edge, and then let the contour of that describe the nose and then turning over the nose. Right? But I thought we are talking about color. You can make color advance and recede with the edge you use. You guys see how that's starting to come to life there? All right, so I'll be happy to take any questions. Oops, I hadn't even looked up today. Let's see. Good morning, everyone. Off to work, friends. I'll catch you. All right, thank you, Shakti. All right. Looks like Claudia helped out Janny. Thanks, Claudia. Good, good, good. So that's it for today. I just wanted to press that idea of a receding color. And what we did is we did warm, warm, warm here. What if, instead of warm for that background, And that highlight, let's see. What if I just did gray there? Right? Pure gray, black and white. Because that's as cool as we can get in this palette. Okay, so that's about the same value. So let's look and see what happens there. And again, I don't have to go from this warm to this cold. But you want to pick one or the other. Most problems happen when they're doing all of this in the background instead of one of these things. Right? If they've got the other things correct. Can you see how much stronger he's popping up there? But it's a question, but something's not working. What's not working? That's a little weaker, but it doesn't feel like it's receding now. So let's recede it with the blue. Okay, so now I'm just going cool instead of warm. Over on the nose too. Okay, it's a little bit rough, but I hope you see the relationship between the background, the receding color, air, vagueness, and the role it plays, and how it can affect your other colors from being, too much. Last couple things I'll say here. Then when we need more focus on this, what we can do is go a little more towards the red with a little more chroma. Slightly darker. And look how that'll pull. So if we wanted to show the color on the nose, right? Is there a little color around? So that color can help you also. And then we have our last piece. What's our last piece? It's our highlight. Look at what a little highlight right there does. Does that instantly put him outside? I think so. I think so. Okay, guys. I hope you were able to make a lot out of that. Sorry for the rough start this morning. But let's get you guys in the studio and get you working on these advancing and receding colors. Okay, so especially for you more advanced people, I want to feel a big block, a big solid piece of color, but I don't want it to feel like it's a billboard charging at me. Right? I want to feel like it's a form that if I was an ant, I could get on and crawl around, not something that's just going to smash me. And that is what you can do with receding color. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Profound thoughts. So I hope you get them. It's very profound if you can use it. So I'd love to see it in your guys' work. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.